Most rock stars buy a Ferrari, park it in front of a hotel, and call it a personality. JK bought 70 cars, drove every single one of them hard, and built a collection so deep, so historically significant, and so completely unlike anything another musician has assembled that it deserves its own conversation. This is not about showing off. This is about one of the most genuine, most educated, and most surprising private car collections in Britain. And today on Car Sparks, we are opening the garage doors. JK is the founder and frontman of Jamiroquai, the British acid jazz and funk band that emerged in 1992. Their first single landed them a $1 million deal with Sony. By 1996, Virtual Insanity had turned JK into a global name. But long before the fame, there was already a love of cars. He has spoken in interviews about those long road trips across Britain as a child, traveling with his mother, who was a jazz musician performing at venues around the country. Hours on the road, different cars, different landscapes. Something in that experience stuck permanently. His first car was a BMW 1602, bought at the age of 21. Since then, the collection has grown to somewhere between 70 and 100 cars at its peak. He has owned Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Aston Martins, Porsches, Bentleys, Mercedes, a Maserati from the 1950s, and, as of recently, one of only 100 examples of what Gordon Murray considers the greatest car he has ever built. What separates JK from every other celebrity collector is simple. He drives them, all of them, on public roads, in all weather, without apology. Let us start with the car that most clearly defines his taste, the Ferrari 275 GTB4, his 40th birthday present to himself. JK bought this car with money earned from Jamiroquai's success and has described it as one of the most beautiful objects he has ever owned. It is powered by a 3.3-litre Colombo V12 engine, the kind of engine that sounds like it is performing rather than running. It was previously owned by Jean-Cyril Rocher, who raced it at the Tour Auto in 1998 and 2000, one of Europe's most prestigious vintage racing events. When JK acquired it, he had it repainted from its original yellow into grigio with a Bordeaux leather interior. He then used it in the music video for Cloud 9, a multi-million-pound classic Ferrari, driven on set, used as a working prop. That single decision tells you everything about his philosophy. These cars exist to be experienced, not to be protected from the world. The LaFerrari, the one Ferrari made just for him. In 2014, Ferrari produced 499 examples of the LaFerrari, a plug-in hybrid hypercar with a naturally aspirated V12 paired with an electric motor derived from Formula One technology. 963 horsepower combined. JK's example was the only one ever finished in Porsche Signal Green. Ferrari created that color specification specifically at his request. The steering wheel was embossed with the Jamiroquai logo. He drove it at the Goodwood Festival of Speed just days after taking delivery. He sold it in 2019 with fewer than 2,000 miles on the clock. In April 2026, that exact car sold at R.M. Sotheby's Monaco auction for approximately $5.9 million. He had originally paid around $1.4 million. The color specification he chose, something many people considered eccentric at the time, turned out to be the single most significant factor in its value at auction, 4 times his purchase price. His instincts were right. They usually are. The Lamborghini Miura SV. If the Ferrari 275 GTB4 is considered the most beautiful Ferrari ever made, the Lamborghini Miura is considered the most beautiful Lamborghini. and by many serious automotive historians, the most beautiful car of any kind ever produced. Introduced at the 1966 Geneva Motor Show, a mid-mounted 4-liter V12, a body designed by Bertone that stopped the crowd dead in its tracks. Enzo Ferrari was reportedly furious. He had not made it. The SV is the final and most developed version of the Miura. More power, better handling, greater refinement. JK's example has appeared in the music video for All.The, one of Jamiroquai's best-known tracks. Its value was already substantial before that exposure. Afterwards, it increased further. He drives it on British roads. This is not a trailer queen. It is a car that gets used. The Lamborghini Diablo SE30. In 1993, to mark 30 years of Lamborghini, the factory produced 150 examples of a special Diablo, lighter than the standard car, more powerful, more aggressive aerodynamically. The SE30 was not just a commemorative edition, it was a genuine performance development. JK's example was finished in purple. He used it in the music video for Cosmic Girl in 1996, one of Jamiroquai's defining visual moments. In the video, the car appears on track alongside other machines, including one owned by Nick Mason of Pink Floyd. He later crashed this car during an enthusiastic driving session. He has acknowledged this publicly. The response of someone who genuinely drives their cars is not to protect them from ever being used. It is to accept that using them carries consequence. JK accepted that. The Aston Martin DB5 Mark I Volante from Goldfinger. This is the one that requires a moment. The Aston Martin DB5 is already one of the most famous cars ever built. The association with James Bond, beginning with Goldfinger in 1964, gave it a cultural status that no other road car from that era possesses. JK owns a Mark I Volante version of the DB5 that appeared in that film. Convertible. Hand-built at Newport Pagnell. Straight-six engine. 4-speed manual gearbox. One of the most elegant British cars of the 20th century. To own any DB5 is remarkable. To own one with that provenance places you in a category that cannot be defined by money alone. It requires taste, timing, and relationships within the collector community that take years to build. The Porsche 911R, one of 991, built. In 2016, Porsche announced a car that many considered commercially questionable. The 911R, no rear seats, no PDK paddle shift, a naturally aspirated flat six, a proper manual gearbox, a curb weight kept deliberately low. In an era when every manufacturer was moving toward turbocharged engines and dual-clutch transmissions, Porsche went in the opposite direction. 991 were made. JK's example is finished in white with black leather interior. He described it publicly as one of the few modern cars you could use every day without compromise. Something you could drive to Stuttgart and back without a second thought. He understands precisely what Porsche intended, and he chose to own one, which is itself a statement about where his priorities lie. The GMAT50. Gordon Murray's life's work. Gordon Murray designed the McLaren F1 in 1992. It remained the fastest naturally aspirated road car in the world for over a decade. For the following 30 years, he quietly worked on what he considered the true successor. The result was the GMAT50, 100 examples. A naturally aspirated V12 producing 654 horsepower, a manual gearbox, a central driving position identical to the F1, a fan mounted at the rear to manage aerodynamic downforce without wings or spoilers. JK secured one, silver exterior, green leather interior, delivered in 2024. In a market where every new hypercar arrives with turbocharged engines and paddles where a gear stick should be, the T50 is a deliberate refusal to follow that direction. JK understood that immediately. And for a man who's owned over 100 cars, when he says something is special, it is worth listening to. The Mercedes 300 SL Roadster. In the 1950s, the Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing Coupe was the fastest production car in the world. The Roadster version followed in 1957. It retained the 3-liter fuel-injected straight-six engine, one of the first production road cars to use direct fuel injection as standard. JK's 300 SL Roadster sits calmly alongside the Lamborghinis and Ferraris in his collection. It requires no theatrical explanation. It is simply an object of perfect proportion and enormous historical significance, built at a moment when post-war German engineering was demonstrating to the world precisely what it was capable of. He keeps it. He drives it. He has done so for years. The BMW 3.0 CSL, the car that started everything. In the early 1970s, BMW built a car for one reason: to win the European Touring Car Championship. They took their 3.0 CS Coupe and removed weight wherever they could find it. Thinner steel panels, aluminium doors, and bonnet. Sound deadening removed entirely. The aerodynamic package, including the rear wing that earned the car its nickname, the Batmobile, was so extreme that the German Road Traffic Authority refused to permit it on public roads. The wing was delivered in the boot. The owner fitted it themselves. 1,265 were built. JK owns one. This is not a car that typically appears in celebrity collections. This is a car that appears in collections built by people who have done the research, understand the history, and recognize what the CSL represents in the context of everything BMW became afterwards. It is the foundation of the entire M-car philosophy, and JK recognized that long before it became fashionable to say so. There is something worth saying about how this collection fits together as a whole. It is not a portfolio. It is not a set of financial instruments dressed as enthusiasm. It is the result of 30 years of consistent taste applied with the resource to act on it at the highest level. The album cover of Traveling Without Moving in 1996 replaced the Ferrari prancing horse with the Jamiroquai logo. His cars appear in his music videos. His collection is not separate from his art. They are the same thing expressed through different materials. He appeared on Top Gear's Star in a reasonably priced car segment multiple times and consistently produced some of the fastest lap times in the segment's history. He is not someone who buys cars because he can afford them. He is someone who understands them at a level that takes decades to develop. The difference between owning a car and truly knowing one is enormous. JK knows them. If you have a car that changed how you thought about driving, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. We are Car Sparks. See you in the next one.